Welcome, Intermedia partners. My name is Craig Woods with Intermedia Product Marketing, and I'm going to be talking today about email archiving. And what I'd like to do is step through a pretty quick overview of archiving and then make sure that you're aware of a special promotion that we have that's ongoing through the end of April. And that's one of the main reasons that we wanted to do this and try to get this out to you. So the two things that I'm going to cover today are pretty quickly a refresh, highlight the ways that we see archiving used within our customer base by our partners today and how it can help you and your customers in specific business situations. And then I want to do a quick overview of the promotions that we have in market. These are promotions that are about email archiving for use with hosted exchange from Intermedia. Whether you're using our private label or advisor model, these should be interesting for you and your customers. So I'm going to cover those at the end of the discussion. So I want to start with a quick review of the main reasons why we see our customers using email archiving and how you can present it and the kinds of situations where you can find this useful to present to your customers. You know, I think we're all familiar with compliance, regulatory compliance requirements. You know, and that's certainly the first reason that many people think of archiving, and that is a primary driver, but only for some businesses. You know, we see something like 10% of our customer base, in your customer base, impacted typically by regulatory compliance, but there are much broader reasons for using email archiving that I want to touch on. Second main area after compliance is peace of mind. I've talked to a lot of customers who are not using archiving for compliance, but instead want the assurance that it provides against predictable or unpredictable eventualities that they want to be protected against. And that's really where the insurance for your business analogy comes into place. The third area is recovering critical data, which is really recovering critical emails or attachments that turn out to be very important for your business. And we want to talk about how archiving can help help your customers very quickly address very important time urgent business needs. The fourth is one that a lot of customers and partners tend to underestimate, but they're starting to see a lot of additional requirements around continuity, which in this sense means if your customer's business has turnover, employee turnover, how do they handle the transition of important information, whether it's communication with their customers or important attachments related to the business, or they need to transition work from one team or one person to another. The last that I think we've all heard about, but is important for many customers, is eDiscovery. So those are the main reasons. I'm going to touch on each of these in a bit more detail. Compliance. Okay, so compliance is probably the first reason why people think about email archiving, and regulatory compliance is a very important factor. You know, the reasons that the Intermedia email archiving solution is important is because it addresses all of the major regulatory compliance requirements. First, it's automatic, and so once it's in place, everything that your customer is sending or receiving, emails and attachments, are all going to be recorded in the archive. Second is that it's tamper-proof, and so that means that you have assurance, and this is in compliance with rules like SCA 17A4 that have very specific requirements about duplicate copies and the nature of how things are stored and how they can be changed to make sure that these are stored in a tamper-proof format, actually using separate infrastructure, and so this is very important from a regulatory compliance standpoint. You know, the compliance capabilities of email archiving support financial services compliance, such as SE 17A4. It also addresses typical HIPAA-related requirements and internal governance requirements around retaining documents and emails that many customers have in place. And of course, this is also important for many law firms in terms of best practices and model rules around retaining confidential or any client communication. But the other area that I find very interesting is I've talked to many customers who, although they have an archive in place, they've never actually used it. But at the same time, they sleep much better knowing that it's in place. You know, and that reflects what you as a service provider for your customers or the business owner or any IT administrator would want in terms of making sure that you're protected from things that you hope won't happen, but you need to be prepared to address. So these are predictable or unpredictable eventualities that are just part of business. So whether or not you're actually using the search, whether the customer is expecting to actively use archiving searches for some of the cases that we're going to talk about, many customers just want the assurance of knowing that they're protected, regardless of the actual type of business that they have. Recovering critical data. The important thing here is because you have an archive of email and attachments, it's much easier to find and locate critical emails. Now, in some cases, this could be where a supplier goes out of business, and so you need to find some information about an agreement that may no longer exist on their side, but you need to have it. You may have emails that are unintentionally or in some cases intentionally deleted. In other cases, you may just be trying to locate important information regarding a particular customer, and so your customer is coming to you for help in finding this. And that's really the main focus here is it's not just that things are stored, it's that they're much easier to find. When we run into situations where you know that the email is there somewhere, you know that the attachment exists, the big issue is how to make it as simple as possible to locate it, how to reduce your time, how to reduce the time that's required by your client to go through and locate the missing information. And one of the things that the email archiving solution does a really great job of is making it fast and very simple to both search and then locate, export, replace the emails and or attachments that are important. So it's really about reducing the impact on your organization and for you in supporting your customers who are looking for help in recovering important information. Next area is continuity. I talked a little bit about this. In many cases, when an employee leaves, one of the first things that an organization wants to know is what happened to their emails. How can we make sure that everything that they were working on is retained? Who is it going to go to? And how can we make sure that there was nothing unexpected that was happening with their emails, whether they were being deleted intentionally or unintentionally in compliance with with their business rules or out of compliance. And so helping the organization protect against accidental loss of information that's going to be important as people leave or as responsibilities are transferred is very important. One of the keys here is to make it simple to hang on to archive all of the emails and attachments without having to keep an inbox in place. And that's one of the key functions of archiving is to separate the email archive from the email system. So it's on separate media, it uses separate infrastructure, which is very important from a compliance standpoint, but it also means that that you're separating the availability of the archived emails from the current status of your email system. And so what that means for you is that you can provide your clients with access to specific sets of emails, whether it's by topic, by date range, by who they were sent to. You can help them go through and not just find the emails, but you can create searches or sets of searches that different users can work with. So if you can imagine your customer coming to you and saying, hey, we just lost one of our main salespeople, and it turns out that they were working on this account, and we want to make sure that all of the emails related to that account are now available to this new person, but the rest of his accounts are going to be going to a larger team. And so we want to separate these in ways that the right people can have access to that person's emails. This is something that email archiving can handle very easily. So it's not just about protecting the integrity of the information. It's about making it easy to transfer and to work with, and to minimize the impact for your customers of people that are leaving the organization or changing responsibility. The last area that I was going to touch on is eDiscovery, which I think we've all run into at one time or another. And archiving addresses this in a couple of ways. The obvious way is by making sure that the emails that should be produced can be produced. But the less obvious impact is making it simple and much less expensive to do this. So reducing the impact on the organization, making it easier for you as a provider, as a service provider, to help your customer pull everything together and then get it to the right party, both in terms of completing the search and then in terms of making the set of email and attachments, exporting them to the party that they need to be viewed and reviewed by. So the important part here is not just getting a hold of the emails, but it's reducing the impact on you, increasing the value that you can provide to the customer, and then reducing the impact on your customer if this should occur. So those are all very important reasons to use archiving, and why we see partners embracing it for hosted exchange customers, and where we see hosted exchange customers typically using it. It's important also to remind you, and for you to remind your customer, that the way the archive works is independent from the email system, and that's very important because it's a separate media, separate infrastructure, obviously important for compliance, but it also means that you're not impacting the performance in storage and structure of your current email, because this is stored separately, so it's independent of your inboxes and folder structure. It's also much faster to search. I think we've all gone through Outlook and looked for emails, and depending on how many emails there are and what it is you're searching for, can be very time-consuming and tedious. And so the ability for the archive to make that very simple and keep it separate from your inbox, but indexed in a way that provides very high performance, even with hundreds and thousands of messages, so to be able to return searches in seconds versus minutes, and then export that in a variety of formats, are all important reasons why having the archive separate from your email system and showing your customer the benefits of that are really important. And we've built some great demos of archiving, and so if you've got questions, if you have specific user scenarios that you're trying to help a customer address, please come to us, and your SE, the Intermedia sales engineer, will be happy to show you more about the interface and provide you with a demo or do a demo with you for your client. The last part of this is to encourage use and to make it very simple to propose archiving. We're doing a couple of related promotions that are both available through April 30th. First, for new business, if you have a new customer that's adopting Exchange, then you can include archiving with Exchange and get them both free for 3 months. So it's a great way to get a customer started on Exchange, bundle archiving in, they'll see the value, and they get both of these free for 3 months. If you have current customers that are using Exchange and you want to introduce archiving, then archiving itself is available free for 3 months. And we picked the 3 months free based on our experience in showing customers the value of archiving. And when we've done this in the past, we've seen extremely high retention rates. Upwards of 90% of customers that try this out, see how it works, really like the assurance once they have seen some of the results and the ease of searching and retrieving, restoring critical emails. It's very easy to justify. So we see very high retention rates. So we're trying to make this as easy and profitable for you as possible, and hope that you'll take advantage of this promo, either of these promos. Again, these are available through April 30th. And if you have questions, please contact your Intermedia rep. So thank you very much for your attention, and I hope this helps you close more business.